What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Dylan Mathews, live in the Kia Studios, bringing you the Hometown Take. Of course, I am your host, Dylan Mathews. We are rocking in the Kia Studios tonight, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So thank you, first and foremost, for winding down your weekend with me on a Sunday evening. We got a lot to get into tonight and not very much time to do it. So before we get into it, make sure you follow the radio station at 929 The Game. You can also catch the radio station 929 The Game and thousands more radio stations plus millions of podcasts. They're all free on the Odyssey app. You can listen to me on the Odyssey app as well, so make sure you do that. Also, this show is called The Hometown Take because your boy is born and raised in the state of Georgia. Born in Riverdale, and then made my way over to Fayetteville, about not halfway through my life. Well, I'm 26, so maybe halfway through my life. Anywho, that's why it's called the Hometown Take. Born and raised, straight homer, such a homer. I root for Georgia and Georgia Tech. So, we got a busy show for you tonight. We're obviously going to break down what we saw Friday night as the Atlanta Falcons took the field for the first time in 2022 in live NFL action. I'm going to give you a full breakdown on what I saw against the Detroit Lions. The good, the bad, the ugly. It's all coming up next at 7:20. So in about 18 minutes, we'll get into that. Also, we're going to talk some Braves as they handled the business and busted out the brooms against the Miami Marlins as they should have done. So 4-game sweep against the Marlins. That is good news. We will stay up to date on what the Mets already beat the Phillies, so we will remain 5.5 back going into the must. I'm saying at least split. You really want to get 3 out of 4 in this series coming up tomorrow against the Mets. We'll talk about that a little bit. We will also stick to the Falcons. We'll hear from you all as well as at 404-741-0929. Whose stock rose Friday night? Whose stock fell Friday night? Talking about Atlanta Falcons players. Whose stock rose? Whose stock fell? We'll get into that at 7:40. 8 o'clock, the top of the final hour. We will go around the A. You're going to hear how Atlanta United pulled off a draw against FC Cincinnati in their match last night. You'll also hear the heroics of Money Mike, Michael Harris II, and Bill William Contreras as the Braves got a late 3-1 victory over the Miami Marlins to complete the sweep. We will also talk about what I want to see against the Jets in week 2 of the preseason, and of course, Grillin' Dylan. Start sending your questions in now. You can tweet at me at _Dylan Mathews. Give me a follow as well while you're at it. You can also call in 404-741-0929 to the Solomon Brothers Diamond text line, and that's also the Solomon Brothers Diamond phone line as well. So you can go ahead and start sending your Grillin' Dylan questions in now, and you can call me up when that time comes at 8:40. But we are going to start. I'm going to give you my broad thoughts about what I saw Friday night. Overall, it was pretty good. Not gonna lie. And when we talk about a preseason game, we think it's boring, barely want to watch. You might end up even watch something else. But this preseason game, I actually thought was fairly entertaining for a preseason game. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, there were so many storylines, so many people we wanted to see, not just on the Atlanta Falcons side of the ball, but on both sides of the ball. We had Aiden Hutchinson to look out for. There was, Jamal Williams, who had that, man, I care about this. He had that whole ordeal go viral on social media. Wanted to see how he come out perform, at least for a little bit. But sticking with the Atlanta Falcons, we all wanted to see Marcus Mariota as well, and he looked good. But there were a couple of things that, again, we will really sink our teeth into this coming up next segment. But even though the offense drove down the field, got a touchdown in their first drive, I don't necessarily like the way they did it. Now, am I a fan of Marcus Mariota being mobile? Yes. Am I a fan of Marcus Mariota being able to extend plays and make plays with his feet? Yes, of course I am. We haven't had that, obviously, since Michael Vick. And that's no shade to Matt Ryan, because he was great in other ways. Accurate passer, got the ball out quick, hit the guys where he needed to, hit them right in the hands. Marcus Mariota is just a different guy, and that's okay. He's a different dude. Which, Mariota, when he had the chance to throw, and that's another thing, the offensive line did not look great. That's why Mariota and Desmond Ritter, too, they were both running all over the field in the Falcons preseason game on Friday. So that's another thing that needs to get better. It got better as the game progressed, but our first unit didn't look great. We all saw the Jake Mathews whiff on Aiden Hutchinson. I believe it was the first play from scrimmage. That didn't look good, but I'm not too concerned about that. That I'm more attest to. You've never went up against Aiden Hutchinson before. He put a quick little move on you. You whiffed. It's your first snap of the season, at least of a live game. So I'm not making too much of that, but it definitely ain't a good look. But still, the main point here is I don't like the fact that Marcus Mariota had to run for his life. Really, it seemed like in that first drive for the Falcons. And I don't like the fact that our quarterbacks were really our top rushers in the game. I mean, if we go to what happened and we go to the stats, I'll pull them up here. Desmond Ritter and Marcus Mariota are quite high in the list when it comes to who had the most rushing yards. So that's something I want to see get better. And we'll, again, like I said, we'll talk about what I want to see in week 2 versus the Jets. That's one thing. I want to see them be able to show off their pocket presence more, show off their passing ability more, but they can't necessarily do that if they're having to run away. Now, again, it's good that you have mobile quarterbacks that can make plays, and they most certainly did that. Because here, look, Desmond Ritter was your top rusher. He was the top rusher. 6 carries, 59 yards. You don't want that. That's not good. Now, again, is it good to have mobile quarterbacks? Yes, it is a way out. But that's not a thing you can sustain. I don't think it's good to have your quarterback be your top rusher. I don't think that's sustainable, at least to be a winning football team. You can sustain it. I don't think there are going to be many winning football teams that have their quarterback be their top rusher. Now you can say, but Dylan, look at Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Well, he got hurt, and they didn't make the playoffs. And that's the risk you take when your quarterbacks are your main rushers and are having to run and having to use their feet more times than not. That's the risk you take. And that's another reason why I don't like this. Marcus Mariota, let's just call it what it is. He's been injury prone these last couple of years. He hasn't been injured these last 2 years because he's been sitting behind Derek Carr in Las Vegas. But when he was in Tennessee playing with the Titans, he had some injury issues. And those could come back to hurt us if we're running him too much and if he's getting out of the pocket and having to use his legs too much. So that's just one thing that I want to see improve. I want to see the offensive line be able to show that we can give our quarterbacks time to actually be quarterbacks in the pocket passers. Because I know Marcus Mariota can run. I've been knew that. I knew that when he was in Tennessee. I knew that when he was in Oregon. I didn't need to see that in preseason game 1. It was good to see that, he still got it and he's still fast, but I kind of already knew that. It's not something I really needed to know. I want to know what the chemistry is like with this wide receiver group. And we got to see a little bit of that, but I want to see more of it. I want to see how accurate Marcus Mariota can be. I want to see how quick he can get the ball out. I want to see how fast he can make his reads. And I want to see the same thing with Desmond Ritter, but we can't see that if they're running for their life. So that's one thing, kind of painted with a broad brush. We'll get into it more here in the next segment, about 10 minutes. Also, another thing, The pressure from the defensive line was good from the second and third units. Obviously, the third unit defensive line, third string defensive line, is the one that got a sack and iced the game for us. But the defensive line, our first unit, the unit that we're going to see more times than not. Now, I know you do rotate guys in the defensive line. I understand that. But our main guys, they weren't very good. And I know it was one snap. But we were getting the ball run down our throat. The quarterback seemed like Jared Goff seemed like he had some time. He was carving us up a little bit. I mean, Jared Goff, 3 of 4, 47 yards. 11.8 yards per throw. We had Jared Goff having a quarterback rating of 113.5. Now, I know it's only 4 passes, but still, they drove right down the field and got an easy touchdown. Now, our defensive line could have very well have adjusted and started making plays. I know it was only one drive, but still, that's not necessarily what I want to see out of one drive. Let's hear from Dean Pease, Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator. He talked about the positives and the negatives from the defense in week 1.
2 turnovers, led to 10 points for our offense. The bad thing is we had 3 penalties that led to 10 points for their offense. You know, we had a sack down there, we were going to make them kick a field goal, and they go on, you know, we get hands to the face, and they end up scoring a touchdown, 4-point swing. So we got to eliminate those. A couple of mental errors, basically on the second play of the game on second down. We made one, we just blew the coverage. So we just got to eliminate those things. So it was good, but the other point too is, and third down was not good. We couldn't get off the field. They had 16 third downs, and 13 of them were 3rd and 6 or more, which means you're doing pretty good on first and second down. But you can't have them convert 50% of those. I mean, that should be in our favor, and it wasn't. So we didn't do well in coverage sometimes on third down.
And Dean Pease is absolutely right. The Atlanta Falcons got the Detroit Lions to third down, you heard it, 16 times. And they converted more times than not. And I think he said 13 of those times was 6 yards or more to gain on third down. That has to be better. If you want to be a successful team, one of the things you have to do is get off the field on third down. You have to make teams punt, obviously, to get the ball back. You have to stop teams. It doesn't matter how much Marcus Mariota can run around, create plays, do this, that, and the third on offense if your defense can't stop anybody. So that is definitely another thing. Got to create some more pressure. Got to sack to the quarterback and either get the quarterback down on third down, make a stop, something. But we have to do a better job getting stops on third down. Quickly before we head to break here, I want to see Quadri Allison and Tyler Algier. I need to see them more during the regular season because they had very good games and they were very effective. I should say. They were very effective in their limited rushes in the first preseason game. Quadri Allison, he was the second leading rusher behind Desmond Ritter. 5 carries, 33 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. That is very good because think about it. 2 rushes, and that's a first down. Again, small sample size, but just giving you a little idea there. Tyler Algier, third leading rusher, 3 carries, 25 yards, 8.3 yards per carry. Almost a first down. So if they keep this up, and again, we have to see more. I understand all that. Still a small sample size, very small sample size. They got to do it again. I want to see them do it again against the Jets. But if they keep this up, and if they keep being this effective with these few carries, they need to be the 2 backs behind Cordell Patterson. Whether they're splitting carries or what, I don't care. But I need to see more of them as we head into the regular season as well. 404-741-092 lines. We're opening up the phone line next segment. So when we come back, call me up. Again, 404-741-0929. What did you like? What didn't you like from the Atlanta Falcons' first preseason game against the Detroit Lions? Call me up. You can tweet at me as well at _Dylan Mathews. We're giving you a full breakdown of preseason game 1 for the Atlanta Falcons. It is coming up next. It is the Hometown Take here, vibing with you on a Sunday evening. We'll be back. Sports Radio 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. The good, the bad, the ugly. What did you like? What did you not like about the Falcons' first preseason game against the Detroit Lions? The phone lines are open now. If you want to give me a shout, if you want to talk about some Falcons preseason football, now is the time to do it. 404-741-0929. Here's what I liked. I liked what Marcus Mariota did, and we talked about this a little bit in the first segment. I like what Mariota did. I don't think that much running is sustainable, though. Same for Desmond Ritter. I like what he did. He showed he was a rookie, but I think he is ahead of most rookies, or is ahead of where rookies would be right about now. I think he is a little bit ahead of the ball game. Not a crazy amount, because he should have honestly had 2 interceptions in game 1. But he is a little bit ahead of the ball game, at least. Shout out Bo Johnson. He's in the studio, man. 2 dudes, 1 fantasy. I hope I'm not spoiling anything, but that is coming back, and I can't wait to listen to that. So I'm sorry, Bo, in advance if I spoiled anything. Anywho, great fantasy football show. Mariota. I want to see him throw the football. I know he can run. I know he's got wheels. I know he's got the legs to get the job done and improvise. I want to see him be a pocket passer. Can he be a good pocket passer? That is what I want to see. And I want to see the offensive line give him that opportunity to show me that. Same with Desmond Ritter. Now, Desmond Ritter did get a little bit more protection. The second unit was a little better, but not much. Because Desmond Ritter did end up being the leading rusher. Again, 6 carries, 59 yards. So, I do want to see the offensive line give these quarterbacks a chance to sit back, make reads, make quick decisions, make nice throws. They didn't really have the chance to do that, in my opinion, in game number 1. I also think we have some solid guys on the defensive line when it comes to depth, and that's good because, again, the defensive line is something you rotate in and out. You aren't going to have the same 5 guys that you usually do, or same 3 guys in this case, because we do want a 3-4. You aren't going to have those same 3 guys on the field the entire time. You're going to have different looks, and you're going to have different guys in for different situations. So I do like the fact that we do have some guys. Taquan Graham looked pretty good in preseason game number 1. So we got some dudes that can do a little something here and there. D. Alford as well. He's not on the defensive line, but he looked good, and we'll talk about him when we talk about whose stock rose and whose stock fell after the first preseason game. But going back to the defensive line, again, made some solid plays. D'Angelo Malone had a tackle for loss. Jordan Brailford, who had the game-winning half sack, because Jalen Dalton also got credit for that sack as well, so they shared the sack. So there were some guys that made some plays. There were some guys that had some pressures. But, again, we do have to think about this. That was the Lions' second and third string as well. It was our second and third string, and it was their second and third string. And we know the Lions probably ain't that deep. Now, they could be better this year. We'll see. But the Lions ain't that deep. So, we can't go too crazy. And I need to see it a little bit more against, some better competition. And again, it's preseason. We all have to remember that overarching theme. It is the preseason. We aren't getting the final looks. Defenses are being vanilla. Offenses are being vanilla. They aren't pulling out all the stops. So we're learning more about philosophy and personnel than we are about scheme, play calling, and things of that nature. One thing when it comes to personnel that I do want to see, I do want to see Damian Williams get some more carries. And Wes Durham, Dave Archer did a great job, as they always do, did a great job in the first broadcast of the season against the Lions. And they did mention that the Falcons will put out more guys other than Damian Williams, like we saw Caleb Huntley, Tyler Algier, Quadri Allison, Avery Williams. They are gonna play some other guys because they kind of already have an idea of what Damian Williams is. But I want to see more of Damian Williams, though. Am I wrong for that? Because he seemed solid. 3 carries, 10 yards, 3.3 average. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Other guys had some more explosive runs. But I think Damian Williams could be good, but I'm just not quite sure yet. So I want to see a little bit more from him. I want to see him get some more carries. I want to see what it looks like when Damian Williams has a little bit of a rhythm. So I felt like Damian Williams was on the right track, but I do want to see him get a few more carries. I feel like I do need to see a little bit more. Like when it comes to Quadri Allison and Tyler Algier, I'm almost sold. And I'm not trying to overreact, but they were good in limited carries. Damian Williams was just okay. So I want to see a little bit more of Damian Williams. Let's see what y'all have to say. Again, you can call me up if you want to talk Falcons. What'd you like? What didn't you like about the Atlanta Falcons' first preseason game? 404-741-0929. We got Chief calling from Southwest Atlanta. He want to talk some Falcons. Chief, what's going on, Chief?
Happening, Chief?
What's happening, Chief?
I tell you what, dude, I'm glad to hear you on the radio, first of all.
Thank you, man.
When it comes to the Falcons, the one thing that I agree with you, with the quarterback running around, you kind of, it's kind of deceiving as far as the rushing yards. But what it does open up is rushing lanes for your running back.
Right.
Having a mobile quarterback is really going to help the running game. And in essence, I think it might help the offensive line on pass and fake if we are running the football. So that I'm kind of, going, hey, maybe we got something, we can run the football. But defensive-wise, I was not satisfied. Lions' first team ran up and down the field for I'm concerned. We didn't stop the game actually, except for the turnover, a couple of turnovers here.
Right.
Yeah, but really, they ran up and down the field.
No, you're absolutely right, Chief, and I appreciate the phone call, man. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for the kind words on the podcast as well. You can catch me on YouTube since Chief already brought it up. You can catch me on YouTube as well, Dylan Mathews, DYLAN-MATHEWS, only one T in the last name. It's important, remember that. But Chief brings up some really good points. Having a mobile quarterback, again, it does nothing but help the offense. Like Chief said, does nothing but help the running game, helps open up running lanes, helps the offensive line, obviously, because they looked a little bit better than maybe they should have with a non-mobile quarterback. It helps on the play-action passing game when you do bootlegs and rollouts and things like that. I mean, shoot, that's how Desmond Ritter was able to throw the game-winning touchdown to Jared Bernhardt. He had to roll out of the pocket because he felt some pressure coming from the edge. So having a mobile quarterback does nothing but help. But I know they can run. I know they can roll out. I know they can use their legs. I want to see how they look in the pocket. I want to see how they look throwing the ball. I want to see how Marcus Mariota looks in a 5-step drop, going through his progressions, making a quick decision and an accurate throw. I want to see how consistently he can do that. I want to see how consistently Desmond Ritter can do that. I want to see how they dissect defenses. Because I know they can roll out. I know a receiver like Drake London can follow. And I know Marcus Mariota can throw on the run, deliver an accurate pass. I saw that. I know they can do that. I want to see how they look in dropbacks, how they look when they have to read a defense. I want to see how it looks when they have time to look back and make an accurate throw. So, again, having a mobile quarterback doesn't hurt you at all. It does nothing but help you. But I want to see other things because I know that element is already there. I know that is something that can already happen. Let's get to some more phone calls here before we head on to break. Let's get to Will. He's calling from Lilburn. He wants to talk about the Falcons in the first preseason game. Will, what's on your mind, man?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Doing good. I heard you talking about the defense and the first drive and how we were getting all run over and everything, and I agree with that.
Right.
Think about how maybe the second or third defensive drive, our players were pressuring the quarterback a little bit more to where they weren't having all this time in the pocket to sit and chill.
Right.
A coffee break and then throw off the ball like they have in years past. Because what I saw was, yes, it might have been second or third strings in there doing that, but we had a little more pressure on the quarterback we had than I've seen in years past from the defense. What do you think?
No, I completely agree, and I appreciate the phone call, Will. I completely agree with you on that front. And Chief alluded to it as well. The defense overall didn't look that great, but the second and third units at least got a little bit more pressure. Again, we got a sack from, who was it, Jalen Dalton and Jordan Brailford. Those guys end up teaming up together and they shared the sack, but the game-winning sack nonetheless. So the second and third unit was better at causing pressure. They made Tim Boyle and who's the third string quarterback? David Blow. They made Tim Boyle and David Blow have to run around a little bit more, use their legs a little bit more. We got more pressure, a little bit more consistent pressure. It didn't result in any sacks except one, but the pressure was a little more constant. You felt like there was a little bit more heat on Tim Boyle and David Blow. So it was better. I just need to see the consistency now. And we definitely didn't get that from the first team. Will and Chief both saw it. I saw it. We got run over. Our lunch got ate on the defensive end on that from the defensive side of the ball on that first drive. They were running down our throat. Jared Goff was 3 or 4. He was looking like he could sit back there and all day and just dissect our defense. So the first string defensive unit has to show me more week 2 against the Jets. And we'll get more into that when I talk about what I want to see in preseason week number 2. Before we go to break here, let's quickly go to Marcus. He's calling from College Park, and he wants to talk about the defense stepping it up in a little Falcons preseason football. Marcus, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm doing good, man. What's up with you?
Good, man. Just like you all been saying about the defense, man. The defensive line, that we got to get pressure on these quarterbacks, man. That was my biggest issue, our defensive line. But a couple positives from the game on Friday. We scored in the red zone, and we weren't kicking field goals.
True.
That much, and the quarter and our coaches were able to open up the playbook, man. The play calling was amazing, man.
Yep.
That's it, man. Appreciate you taking.
Appreciate you, Marcus. Very good point when it comes to being effective in the red zone. I mean, we came away with 27 points. That's good. I mean, close to 30 points. You're supposed to win the game, and the Falcons did. So, very good point about converting in the red zone. Obviously, Desmond Ritter found Parker Hesse. He threw that other touchdown to win the game to Jared Bernhardt. That wasn't in the red zone. Marcus Mariota, when they got in the red zone, he ran it down for a touchdown. So, no, red zone was effective. And that's another good thing about having a mobile quarterback. We saw what having a mobile quarterback in the red zone can do for you. Marcus Mariota, if there's nothing there, defense probably isn't accounting for him. Maybe during the regular season they are a little bit better. But you just have to account for the quarterback, and if you don't, he's going to run it in, and if you do, well, then you're probably leaving somebody open, and hopefully Marcus Mariota can find that person. So I liked what we did in the red zone, and I liked the play calling all around. I saw a little tunnel screen there. I thought the run calls were good. We got very good chunk plays in the running game from Quadri Allison and Tyler Algier. So what I saw offensively was pretty positive. I just think the defense needs to come around a little bit better as well when it comes to, like Chief, Marcus, Will have all said, getting consistent pressure. I need to see it more consistently. But it's only preseason, week number 1. We will get there. We got time to iron these kinks out. Overall, I like the performance from the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody's got things to work on. No NFL team is a finished product right now. So that's okay. We got things to work on. We'll work them out in practice. We'll work them out against the New York Jets. It is the Hometown Take on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. When we come back, we're talking Falcons still. And you can still get in the game. And you can still Call me up. 404-741-0929. Whose stock rose and whose stock fell in week 1? That's next. It's the Hometown Take on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game, live in the Kia studios. We'll be back. Sports Radio 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app.